Guess this is an interpersonal truth, and I'm gonna do a bit of a hypnosis rant. One of the things that happened when I was talking to Blondie was he, for whatever reason, because he's an idiot, he thinks I operate like him. He hypnotized me in my driveway, and I remember this. I remember a bunch of weird, stupid hypnosis sessions with these fuckers, and they are stupid. Anything from Stu saying something and being wrong about it, and him hypnotizing me, to fucking Blondie's dumbass, who, because of this entire event, he hypnotized me to feel shame and guilt over what happened, because he's a narcissist. He has to force his emotions onto you, and I don't do it. Dude, I had my emotions turned off, so I couldn't feel the emotions you forced onto me anyway, you retard. But it's whatever. So he did that. He hypnotized me into believing this entire situation was my fault. And it caused me to feel shame, and when I feel shame, I just shut down and give up. That's how I deal with shame. Apparently, Blondie doesn't handle shame in that way. He throws a tantrum and assaults people, and he thought I acted like him because he's an idiot. Just one rant. One of the things that happened when I was at Papa John's, Anal Eating Mummy God, it was around the same time he asked me to imagine a circle in the back of the head and a circle in the front of my head. He asked me to name every time I had ever stood up for myself or had confidence, because these people think I lacked confidence. And in their brain, confidence doesn't work the way a normal person views confidence. They're kind of retarded. But, so, the first thing that came to mind was when Stu had me up at gunpoint in that bathroom. And he told me, "You're coming with me!" And I said, "No." Which, every fiber in my being told me to just do what he wanted, and I didn't do it. Okay? I resisted. And then he was like, "How did you feel after that?" And I was like a huge pain in the back of my head, because I got pistol whipped, and Anal Eating Mummy God went, "Oh, what? No!" And I was like, and then he called Stu in the middle of the conversation and began yelling at him in their made-up language. I had no idea what was going on, so I started snickering and giggling because I just thought it was funny. And then he's like, "Well, what was the other time you stood up for yourself?" And I told him my stepdad was beating me, and I hauled off and decked him. And then he's like, "What happened after that?" I was like, "I got busted in the mouth." And he's like, "Well, what about another time you stood up for yourself?" I was like, "That would be elementary school in Ackworth. Old Ackworth Elementary, not the new Ackworth Elementary, the shitty Ackworth Elementary School." I got into a fight with this black kid, and I stood up for myself only for his friend to just suddenly cold cock blindside me and deck me in the mouth for standing up for myself, and I got knocked out. I fucking blacked out and hit the ground. And then he was like, "As every time you stood up for yourself, you just got the shit kicked out of you?" And I was like, I can't think of a single time. And he's, "What about that time you pushed your stepdad down the stairs?" And I was like, "Yeah, I pushed him down the stairs, but like I felt freedom from his control because I thought he was dead." And he was like, "But you didn't feel anything else." And it just occurred to me very recently, after watching some things on YouTube, why Anal Eating Mummy God got so mad about each time I stood up for myself. Because each time I stood up for myself, I got punished. So in my brain, just like I associate responsibility with punishment, I associate standing up for myself with being punished. I believe that if I stand up for myself, I'm just gonna get the shit kicked out of me. So I'm terrified to stand up for myself, because each time, canonically, especially the getting pistol whipped and then drowned in a toilet is an extremely traumatic event, and all I did was stand up for myself, and once again, I got punished. And Anal Eating Mummy God said some weird shit over the phone. Basically, he some kind of weird doctrine about when people stand up for themselves, the church is gonna fuck off because I guess it hinders their development. But they don't respect strength. Okay, they don't respect strength. It's a lie. When they say they respect strength, they don't. They hate strength. I don't know why. Like, this suddenly came to the forefront of my mind. I was meditating. I was doing this experimental meditation where you have a pencil in your mouth to trigger your courage response, and then I was thinking about fears. And I was thinking about being pistol whipped by Stu, and suddenly I had the realization I associate standing up for myself with getting punished. Even when I was a kid, I tried to stand up to my dad. I was really little. I was like 1 or 2 or something, and my father just started laughing and whipped my ass. And he whipped my ass because I was defying him. It wasn't like my parents didn't do proper disciplinary action. You just upset them and then they whipped you. You got a spanking because you hurt their feelings or something. It was always stupid with them when I was growing up. It was never actual adult disciplinary action. It was, you're inconveniencing me, ass whooping. You did something that embarrassed me, ass whooping. And they didn't explain it to you. You just got an ass whooping, and then you were just sat there in an emotionally dysregulated state, which is why I just turned my emotions off, because I absolutely hated having to navigate something that I simply couldn't comprehend. It didn't make any sense to me. Yeah. And I wonder if what you're supposed to feel when you stand up to somebody after they held you up at gunpoint is elation. I wonder if you're supposed to feel thrilled. I wonder if you're supposed to feel happy. But all I felt was fucking like I was signing my own death warrant by standing up for myself. I'm kind of working on that stupid shit Blondie did where he hypnotized me into believing that this was all my fault. One of the things they do for their hypnosis bullshit is they convince you that, like, hypnosis can do anything. That there is no limit. That it can do anything. And then they hypnotize you past the bounds of normal hypnosis. Trust me, it's stupid and contrived and idiotic. Once again, these are the last people on the planet who they have extreme control issues, and the only thing they know the only way they know how to solve whatever issue they're having is through spraying you in the face with LSD and then hypnotizing you. 'Cause they're dumb bastards. I really now want to do a video on the other church that hypnotized me, because that video is kind of funny and it's also Christmas related. I might do that. You know what? I'm probably going to do that video. I do wonder now what it's like to stand up for yourself and not get punched in the head or pistol whipped. I don't know. And I wonder if that's why my fear response is also so fucking crazy, because every time I stood up for myself in my fast, even my sister, this was a thing my sister used to say. She used to say, I do it to make him stand up for myself. And one day, this is going to sound bad because she's a girl, I beat the shit out of my sister, and her to get back at me, she hit me in the head with a giant stick. A big ass stick, and she went on a tirade about how you never fucking do that. You never fucking do that to anybody. Blah, 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 blah. And yeah, like, I never felt a sense of elation after semi-winning a fight with kids in school, but also, when I think about it, every time I ever almost won a fight against a kid in school, it wasn't ever a solid victory. I was always fucking damaged in some fucking way that I was too busy being in pain and pissed off that I got hurt. And once again, I wonder if you're supposed to feel elation, if there's supposed to be some kind of positivity that comes out of that. Yeah, I guess this is just something to contemplate. I don't know, you guys ever stood up for yourself and felt amazing afterwards? Or have you just, like, every time you stood up for yourself, the nail that stands up gets hammered down? It's a Japanese saying. If you stand up for yourself, you get a hammer to the head. To let you know it's not okay to stand up for yourself. So, This is just an aspect of my life. If you're a rich cracker white guy, you probably are accustomed to carrying out your ass, so blow it out your ass. This might not be the video for you. Yeah.